You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, John Santucci, the Tooch, and the man with the plan, Adam Sham. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flush that again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. And this is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this, better than those things.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Goon. I'm your host, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and I'm joined, as always, by my fantasy brother-in-arms. I'm talking about Adam Sham, the man with the plan. Our other buddy, John Santucci, the Tooch, couldn't be here today. He's getting ready for the post-game show on Barfly Tailgate Show for the Bears playing in London. That'll be coming up as soon as the Bears game ends, and we get the halftime slot today. Special time, special place, but same fantasy analysis. So, Adam, how you doing this morning, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. The Bears are ahead, so that's a great start to the day. Just got another turnover on the first play of the second half, it looks like, on a Evan Ingram fumble, so let's see if we can get some more points.
That's a thing of beauty, man. Absolute thing of beauty.
Caleb Williams looking like a possible fantasy quarterback soon.
Oh, he's letting it rip. Cole Kmet as well, finally looking like a fantasy tight end.
Caleb's got over 50 yards rushing today.
More rushing than anyone else on the team, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
In far less attempts, might I add.
Looking forward to another full Sunday of fantasy football as usual.
Yeah, no shortage of football today, that's for sure. Obviously, inactives will start to pop up as we get through this for the morning games. We'll dive into that as it comes out. Adam and I are going to give our starts and sits for the week, but any new listeners or viewers that are tuning in, please get your questions in. We're going to answer all your fantasy questions live on air all the way up until the end of the Bears game, and then the Barfly Tailgate boys are going to do some analysis and have some fun with it. Tooch was going to be on with us, but he kind of has to watch the game if he wants to do a post-game show, so I kind of get it.
Makes sense.
But it's like the old days, Adam. It's me and you back at it again, just doing fantasy questions, analysis, all the fun stuff.
We can handle it. We're going to miss Tooch and Zim, but we can handle it. We've done this a time or two.
That's right. We can, of course, handle it. And Zim will be back next week because I have another family thing to handle. But you get me and Adam this week, and we're going to chug along and kick some butt. And we got a question already.
What do we got?
Chad wants to know, Hubbard or Chase Brown?
Who's the Panthers against again?
Carolina's got a great matchup. They're
the Falcons
playing against Atlanta.
I really like Chase Brown this week. I'm starting Chase Brown on one of my teams, but man, Hubbard's been really good and consistent for about a month now. He had a rough first week, I think, and he's been pretty good since then. Man, I'd probably stick with Hubbard there. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really have the timeshare going on like Chase Brown does.
Yeah, that's my only thing with this question is.
Though
So I
Zach
think
Moss has been banged up all week, though. And technically, Chase Brown was on the injury report as well, but I don't think that was really too serious. I think it was more precautionary. But
yeah, between the two, Hubbard's the clear choice. He follows up and says maybe bench Hall. It's hard to bench Breece Hall.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I know he's been a letdown all season long, but you just can't. You can't bench him, especially when he's got a pretty decent matchup. And with all the firings this week, I imagine they're going to try to run the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, the Breece Hall thing's kind of a mystery right now. This looks pretty bad so far, but yeah, they've got to get that going. I wouldn't bench him yet. I mean, I don't know how many more chances you can give them, but they got to figure out how to run the ball if they're going to succeed. So,
yeah,
and with Saleh being gone, things might change today. So stick with it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Our buddy Steve is in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Go Bears!
Nice, go Bears!
We were just talking, Steve,
Thanks
how we
joining
finally have a fantasy quarterback in Chicago and fantasy tight end. So I can't tell you, Adam and Steve, how many texts I've gotten this morning saying I benched Komet like a dum-dum.
Yeah, I know. They're getting close to scoring again. They're inside the 10-yard line. Swift just had a 19-yard catch.
I have an anytime touchdown catch for Roma Dunze today, so that would be fantastic for me.
DJ's rooting for that one on Guillotine League. He's like, man, the Bears look great, but Odunze's not catching anything. And he's had one big catch, I think.
Yeah, that's, of course, when I turned on the TV. By the way, if you guys can hear that, my neighbor is mowing his lawn, and it poured rain for 3.5 hours last night, which makes no sense to mow in the morning. But anyway, that's beside the point. Adam knows that.
Yeah, I can't hear it, so I think we're all right.
All right, good. Another question. Well, not question. Yeah, a question. Our buddy Adam. Another Adam, not this Adam. Keep James Cook in and take the risk, or fire up Tyrone Tracy and hope for the best?
I'd probably fire up Tracy in that situation. I told Joe right before the show I'm battling James Cook on two teams. I have him, and it really sucks that he's playing on Monday night. You have to figure that out. You have to make a call early about it. So Tyrone Tracy's in a good spot with Singletary out. And he looked really good last week. He's pretty explosive looking. He catches the ball too. I think I'd probably play that for the safer play.
Yeah, James Cook. Adam and I were talking about this right before we went live. I just have a hard time seeing him, playing in this game, or if he does play, being very effective at all. Did you guys see the replay? Did you see the replay, Adam, of how he smashed his toe?
Yeah, it looked pretty bad, didn't it?
And turf toe injuries, as us fantasy players know, are a disaster because they linger, they're painful. You got to, and it's his big toe. He's got to push off of it on every single second he's on the field. So I'm sleeping on James Cook this week. I'm fading him. I don't even think he's going to play in this game, to be honest with you, Adam. So I think you got to go with Tracy, and looks like that's what Adam's going to do.
Yeah, on that one, I would go with Tracy. I think he's going to play. I mean, he said he's going to play. I think he will, but you just don't know how effective he's going to be or how much they're going to use him. So I would take the safer bet there.
For sure. Ooh, another question here. Start one, half PPR, Tank Dell or Chase Brown?
No, I'm firing up Tank Dell this week.
I love Tank Dell.
Nico Collins hitting the IR. Joe Mixon is back, so I do think they kind of run the ball a lot today. But I think Tank Dell gets back on track today.
It's going to benefit Tank Dell, them running the ball as well. It's going to open up the play action. He's going to be running across the middle of the field.
All right.
I have a question for you, Adam, because I'm in a league that's not one of our leagues, but I have to start two wide receivers. One of them, of course, is going to be, it's a stud. I can't remember who the stud is on that team, of course. But my secondary option, my wide receiver 2 is either going to be Darnell Mooney or Tank Dell, and I've gone back and forth because they both have great matchups.
Yeah. Oh man, that is pretty tough. They're really kind of very
They're the
similar
same guy,
players
right?
to me. Yeah, they're the same guy. Yeah, I'm like, man.
The guy that's done it all year has been Mooney, but
Touchdown Bears, Keenan Allen.
bastard. Come on, Rome.
Man, that's a tough call right there. Houston's against who again? Who's that? That's a good matchup.
New England.
New England, yeah. I do think they're going to run it a lot.
And then Mooney gets Carolina.
I think I'd go Mooney.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
But I've switched it up 100 times.
Yeah, I don't blame you either. I think you could just flip a coin and go either way. I think, like you said, it's like the same player.
I'm going back.
Mooney's been way more consistent, though, so far, so I think you ride that out.
There you go. I'm double checking that league to make sure that I actually did what I said. No, I didn't actually. I forgot to swap it back. So let me do that. I think both are going to be good, though. And also the same question. We got another one here. Full PPR, Montgomery. Well, are we talking about James Cook? I'm assuming if that's a no-brainer. You got to go Montgomery. Cook probably won't even play.
Yeah, I'm playing Montgomery no matter what on that. The Lions, I think Montgomery and Gibbs are in for big days.
Yeah, it's funny because each of us have on our starts later on. We each have one of the running backs from Detroit. Let's go through our inactives. What's out so far, anyway? Actually, wow! Commanders at Ravens. No Brian Robinson in this game.
Yeah.
I have him as a touchdown scorer on one of my bets, so I hope they can refund me on that one.
And Rachaad White's out for Tampa.
Yep, Rachaad White's out. Nick Chubb inactive for the Browns, but he will likely be active next week.
Yep.
No Zay Jones for Arizona today.
Malik Neighbors out again. That one's kind of surprising after he had the long week.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors out.
Another reason Tyrone Tracy is a good play.
Yep, and it helps my Wan'Dale Robinson as well.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor still inactive for Indianapolis. Trey Sermon.
I think Taysom Hill's out.
I'm going through here. That's no Ramondre Stevenson for New England today.
Yeah, that one kind of came out of nowhere, it seemed like, this week. After he had a good game last week, and then all of a sudden, middle of the week, he was not going to play.
Who knows?
What about Michael Pittman, man? Michael Pittman was supposed to be going to injured reserve, and then all of a sudden was full practice, and I'm playing.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with him.
Like, I'm not taking a chance on Pittman today.
Yeah.
And you are 100% Richardson's back.
Yep. And you are 100% correct, Adam. Taysom Hill is inactive today for the Saints, as is, to no one's surprise, Derek Carr. Devontae Adams is inactive for Vegas today. I would imagine a trade is happening soon, although Schefter said there's no guarantee he gets traded, but I would be shocked if they did not move him.
Wouldn't make sense to keep him.
He doesn't want to play there. Why are you going to keep him?
Get something for him.
For Pittsburgh, just a lot of defensive folks out for that game, and then Cordero Patterson as well. Getting into the afternoon games, these are the ones that are just previously announced. So Gus Edwards inactive for the Chargers.
Over the middle.
Sorry.
Keenan Allen scores.
I don't know how to stop that. It just came in.
It's all good, buddy. I know you got your phone on in the background. Also for the Giants, you mentioned Malik Neighbors inactive this evening, as well as Devin Singletary. So, our buddy Gaines is in the chat. What up, Gaines? Adam, what are your thoughts on Darius Slayton?
Man, he's pretty good deep threat right now with the Malik Neighbors out. Daniel Jones is going to have to throw it to somebody else besides Wan'Dale Robinson at 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. So, Darius Slayton's been a player I've actually liked for a few years, and it's like he comes and goes. He disappears for half a season at a time, it seems like, and then he shows up has a good run. So I think it could be a decent play today, depending on what other options you got. But I like Slayton overall, especially with Neighbors out.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing right there. Darius Slayton certainly could be an option.
I think he had a touchdown last week, if I remember.
Yeah. Tooch is making roster moves in the background during the show. I see what's happening, Tooch. Anyway, we're going to get more questions here in the chat, and we'll keep going through our starts and sits. We may as well get into our quarterback starts, Adam. I'll let you lead things off.
Kirk Cousins, we just talked about Darnell Mooney. I like Cousins versus Carolina. We saw Caleb have a good game versus Carolina. Carolina's defense sucks. We know everybody has a good game versus Carolina. So Kirk Cousins and that Atlanta offense coming off 500-yard game last week. Don't expect that again, but they should still have a good game and keep that momentum going. And then Jordan Love versus Arizona. I don't think Jordan Love's nearly as good as people say he is, but he kind of like Kirk Cousins. He racks it up in junk time like you saw versus Minnesota. And he gets a lot of easy touchdowns. He gets a lot of like short 2-yard touchdown passes and stuff. So for fantasy, he builds up the points pretty quickly and easily, even if it doesn't look good at the beginning. And Dak Prescott, I'm really hoping that Cowboys-Lions game puts up the points like you'd expect it would today. We need CeeDee Lamb to break out. That's going to come at the hands of Dak Prescott. So Detroit, you can't run the ball on them very good. So hopefully Dak's going to throw a lot and should stack up the fantasy points pretty quick, I think.
It's all good, buddy. The dogs are barking this morning. It's I'm fighting a little bit of a cold myself, so it's all good.
Travis Etienne, hamstring injury, questionable to return.
Well, I think they got to say something. He's been so ineffective. I think Tank's their starting running back there now. Etienne has not looked good.
He had -1 yard, but yeah, he has -1 yards for the game.
I mean, if you're a Etienne owner, you have to be feeling like you're in trouble. I feel like I hosed RKB for Drake London.
It looks
straight
like
up.
It, yeah, and I'm playing against him right now, so I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem.
He's got -0.1 points.
See, it's a thing of beauty. Yeah. I'll get into my starts here in a second, but Gaines has a question for us. Start one for flex. Trey Sermon, Alan Lazard, Deontay Johnson, or Slayton. For me, this isn't even particularly close. Deontay Johnson has a killer matchup. He's my wide receiver start of the week. I think you got to start Deontay today. I mean, he's got a killer matchup, Adam.
Yeah, I agree. Deontay Johnson. He just gets so many targets, and against Atlanta, yeah, it's a good matchup.
Atlanta can't stop anybody on the secondary.
No, and Atlanta should be able to score, so Carolina's going to try to keep up. Dalton will be throwing the ball. Yeah, I like Deontay Johnson.
I mean, Deontay, now that he's got a serviceable quarterback, is beyond solid.
Exactly. You've seen ever since Dalton took over, Deontay's been very relevant.
I know he was a little banged up, but I think he's fine. Yeah, I know he's limited with an ankle, but they always say that if he's going to be good to go. I have no concerns about him. All right, let's get into my quarterback starts. I like Kyler Murray today against Green Bay. Green Bay's defense, I think, has been overrated through the beginning of the season. Kyler's going to run all over him. They can get passed on. I think it's a big Trey McBride day, so I think Kyler Murray and McBride are going to have a real nice day at the office. Murray's had some really good starts, and he's had some really middle-of-the-pack starts. I think this is going to be one of those really good starts. So if you have Kyler Murray, I think it's going to pay off for you today. Also love the same matchup Adam talked about, but I like the other side of the ball. I think Jared Goff is going to be great today. They're going to have to throw against Dallas because we've seen that secondary for Dallas. And it seems like every week they're just getting absolutely shredded. and that Lions offense is going to have some work against Dallas. I think there's going to be a lot of passing. Adam mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. It's going to be a lot of goal line.
The two games right there, we both took the opposite sides of that, Kyler Murray and Jared Goff, and I took the opposite too. I think those are the two big fantasy point games. I like both. I like all four of those quarterbacks, yeah.
And whatever the over-under is for both of those games, I think those are going over. Lots of points to be scored there. And let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of receiving receptions for Jahmyr Gibbs today, and there's going to be a lot of goal line carries for David Montgomery. So I think it's a good day for both running backs. And I got a name here that a lot of people might call me crazy. I think this next guy is actually becoming a fantasy relevant quarterback. He's a low end quarterback one, but today I think he's going to finish inside the top 10 at the position. And that's Daniel Jones. He's been really, really good with what he has.
He's going to need Darius Slayton to do it.
He's going to need Slayton. He's going to need Wan'Dale Robinson. Look, I mean, Cincinnati's secondary is awful. I don't understand how a team that is so good all around just cannot get a secondary that could stop anybody. Daniel Jones is also going to run all over them because that's what he does. I really believe Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback this week. And in daily fantasy, I think you can spend cheap on him, and he's going to get you a lot of points. So
yeah, he's been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks. I like that pick. You know, again, we're trying to go with outside of the main guys. You know, the guys that aren't your top 10 guys every week.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones is a guy that's not even owned in the majority of leagues. I mean, you could pick him up and probably I feel strongly he's going to have a top 10 quarterback finish this week. Better than some of the other guys that we talked about, like Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. I'm starting Daniel Jones over those guys in a heartbeat.
You know, Herbert hasn't even passed for 175 yards the whole season.
I know. He's not. He
shouldn't be owned. Like 170 yards. His top passing game.
He shouldn't be owned, and that's why we talked about it at the top of the season in our draft shows, which is why people need to tune in, Adam. We talked about how with Harbaugh coming in, they're going to want to run the ball. They're not going to throw like they used to. And that has certainly been the case.
Yeah, it's crazy with them. I mean, the passing game's completely gone with Harbaugh.
Yeah,
and I mean, and they traded away their receivers pretty much. So,
yeah, for sure. And then now you can see why.
Yeah.
So reminding everybody,
these guys.
Yeah. So reminding everybody to get your questions in here. We're going to answer them. And then all the way up to the end of the Bears game, which they're playing right now. And I have to change this graphic to say up to.
There's a touchdown Jaguars right now by Gabe Davis.
I almost bet an anytime touchdown for Gabe Davis today because it seems like his kind of day. How long was it?
21 yards.
It's always a 20-plus yard pass play to Gabe Davis.
Yeah, with Gabe Davis it is, yeah. Yeah, it was right after a holding, too. It was 1st and 21.
Have you heard that
1st and 20.
Have you heard that the Bills are one of the favorite teams now to land Devontae Adams as well?
I've heard some talk about that. I mean, that would make almost the most sense to me of anybody who needs a receiver is them. I mean, like it's that last game with Buffalo, it was just so obvious, like they're lacking a number one receiver.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that Shakir might be part of that package. So,
yeah, I mean, they just have to get a receiver back in the deal, so that would make sense.
Nice. Chad the barber says he cut Gabe Davis's uncle's hair.
Interesting.
Chad's my barber, so. And he's in the Goon League.
Yeah, I remember you saying that before. Yeah.
So far, we're all looking like we'll be safe from the wings of death, but there's some teams that got to bounce back big time. All right.
Oh yeah, from the place
for our last place bet. Yeah. Getting into our running back starts and reminding everybody we're answering everyone's questions up till basically the end of the Bears game, but maybe a little bit before. Adam, you're watching the time on it, so you'll have to let me know as we're getting closer because I don't have it queued up. But what are we in, third quarter?
Yeah, 6 minutes left in the third quarter.
No, we're doing fine.
Yeah.
Getting into running back starts for this week. My top start of the week, not just out of running backs, but in general, is Tony Pollard against Indianapolis. He's looking like the workhorse. Somehow he just continues to get it done. And Indy cannot stop anybody on the run. Pollard's getting involved in the passing game, the running game. He's just all around looking like the back that he should have been in Dallas last year. I can't believe I'm saying this, Adam, but Tony Pollard is a must start.
Yeah, I agree. The only person that can't run against the Colts is the Bears. And hey, breaking news in that game, Joe Flacco is going to start again. They just announced.
Good.
So that's good for all the receivers and for all Colts. Joe Flacco, yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco should be starting for someone every week.
The Browns are wishing they kept him at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, think if Miami had
didn't even extend an offer to him.
Think what Tyreek Hill would be doing with Joe Flacco right now.
Yeah. Did you see his tweet, by the way, about Tua?
Tyreek Hill?
Yeah. Somebody tweeted like, imagine for Tua's first play back. They should call a QB designed run play.
Yeah.
And then Tyreek tweeted and he said, "Who's calling the next play?" Because Tua wouldn't be on the field. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so savage.
Yeah.
Can't make this stuff up. So anyway, I love Tony Pollard today. Javonte Williams has started to look really, really good for Denver. He was a workhorse back the last couple of weeks. He looked really good last week.
Yep.
He's gonna get a lot of work against the Chargers, who are not very good at stopping the run. So I think Javonte has a real nice day. And then Adam and I talked a lot about the running backs for the Lions. I love David Montgomery today. I think he's going to see 3 or 4 goal line carries. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy had at least 3 touchdowns today, because it always seems to me like any of the receivers for the Lions always get tackled at like the 1 or 2 yard line.
Oh man, yeah, they always do.
It seems like for some reason, and it just seems like it's going to be one of those games. I just feel David Montgomery might only have 40 yards rushing today, but he might have 3 touchdowns. So you got to start him.
Yeah, I agree. I love those picks. Javonte Williams has been a quiet stud for a couple of weeks now, and the Sean Payton offense just gives a lot of targets to the running backs.
Yeah, sure does. Adam, walk us through your starts at running back.
Man, I'm going with Bijan this week. A lot of people, I mean, even myself, have been down on Bijan this season. But if he doesn't do it today, then I'm extremely concerned. Today's the game versus Carolina. Bijan should score a touchdown today, finally. And if he doesn't, like I said, I'm officially concerned if Bijan doesn't have a good game today. Like, he's basically like a 10 or 11 point player in full PPR formats. I mean, he gets 10 or 11 points every week, and I mean, you can get that on the waiver wire. Like,
yeah,
that is
not for your first round pick.
Yeah, that is not a first round draft pick. So, and it's not him. He's not a bad player. He's a great player when you watch him play.
It's the way they use him.
Yeah, the way they use him. They don't use him in the critical times you want him for fantasy, and they just don't stick with him consistently. So, he's got to do it today. And then, let's see, who else do I have up there? Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, we just talked about Detroit and stuff. I think Gibbs is going to have a monster day versus Dallas. I think he definitely scores touchdown and catches a few passes. And then I'm going to go with Chase Brown, coming off 2 great games in a row. Zach Moss, I think, they're saying it's a minor ankle sprain, but I've heard it's more of a high ankle. So I got a feeling Zach Moss is going to be more limited than they're letting everyone to believe today. So I think Chase Brown gets in the end zone versus the Giants defense again and has a pretty good game. I'm playing him in my lineup.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, Adam. I really do.
Yeah, it could be.
Better quarterback play than advertised in that game, I think, too. Let's get to our tight end starts. And Adam had Cole Kmet on his list, which I think that worked out for you.
Nice, yeah. I didn't even realize I'd put that on there before this game this morning. But, yeah, 2 touchdowns already. Cole Kmet's just a stud, man. I mean, Like the Bears offense just had such a rusty start for the first couple games, and so people were like, "Oh, screw Cole Kmet and all the Bears offensive players," and I get it, but man, he's really good. Caleb obviously counts on him, so we've seen him have a great game already today. I don't need to explain it anymore. Tucker Kraft is breaking out right now. He's like a top 5 tight end, possibly the rest of the season, I think.
I made a big trade for him this week, Adam.
Yeah, in this game versus Arizona, we've talked about we expect this to go back and forth, and both these quarterbacks to put up points. I like both tight ends in the game, Tucker Kraft and Trey McBride. And then Dalton Kincaid, man, I've said him a few times this year, but it's like it's got to happen. He's gotten at least 6 targets, I think, 3 weeks in a row. So they are using him. It's just we got to get him in the end zone. Josh Allen's got to score some touchdowns this week. And while the Jets defense is good, Josh Allen has had success against them. So I'll take Dalton Kincaid one more time. Hope he gets in the end zone this week.
I love it, man. Yeah. And I also love Tucker Kraft today against Arizona. I think Tooch called him last week Travis Kelce light or something along those lines.
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
And I think he might be the rest of the season even better. Although Travis Kelce is awakening from his slumber now. If they do acquire a top-tier wide receiver a la Devontae Adams, that might change things there. But I think Kelce is going to be a big part now.
Yeah,
but I love
Rice out. He's become the main target.
Yeah. And with Tucker Kraft, I think he's kind of becoming that guy. The wide receiver core is all banged up. There's weird stuff going on with Romeo Doubs and his whole situation. He got interviewed by the media, said he was dealing with some mental stuff. The guy seems like he's like dealing with something, and I feel for the guy. But Tucker Kraft is becoming, I don't want to say the leading receiver, but certainly becoming a top target in that offense. He got some wheels on him, man. I didn't expect that out of a guy like that. He could certainly get some jets on. Highly sought after tight end. If you could trade for him, now is the time to do it. I gave up Mooney and the Texans defense to get him. And I got Pickens in the deal too, so I feel like I did really good there.
Yeah, it's a good trade.
Time will tell. I needed a tight end desperately because all I had was Njoku, and Cleveland is just a mess. Watch, he gets traded. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens there. But I love those guys. I think this is the week that Kyle Pitts finally does something. He's been on and off. Carolina's notoriously terrible against the tight end. Kyle Pitts is that big guy in the red zone. I think Kyle Pitts and Drake
last week.
Yeah, I think Kyle Pitts is going to continue that trend. Carolina's, again, can't stop anybody. This is the week. And a lot of people seem to have dropped Kyle Pitts, which is bizarre. Like four out of my 6 leagues, he got dropped. So,
wow.
I thought about picking him up, but I didn't have a roster spot. And then Tyler Conklin. He has been a solid tight end, arguably more solid than some of the top tier picks. I believe he's getting around 10 or 11 points a week the whole start of the season. And he just continues to get open for Rodgers because outside of Wilson, he doesn't really have a guy he trusts. And Tyler Conklin is becoming that guy he trusts. So
yeah, without question,
at least for one more week until they make a trade, I can see Tyler Conklin having a good day because Buffalo's secondary is not great against the tight end.
Yeah, he's been, like you said, he's been as good as any of. He's been better than Sam Laporta or any of those guys. Even Dalton Kincaid, he's been right there as good as Dalton Kincaid has been.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Any more questions? Get them in the chat. We're going to keep moving through our starts and sits. Adam, why don't you talk us through your wide receiver starts of the week?
We mentioned Tank Dell earlier. I like him versus New England today with Nico out. I'm hoping this is the Tank Dell breakout game. I think C.J. Stroud should have a solid performance today. Terry McLaurin, the Baltimore-Washington game, that's the game a lot of people are most excited about. I think that's kind of right behind that Dallas game and the Cardinals game. We scored Lamar and Jaden Daniels can go back and forth a little bit in that one. Terry McLaurin's had really good games in a row. He's become the deep threat all the time now for Jaden Daniels, and we see that connection building every week. So Baltimore can't stop anybody in the passing game. They're great against the run, terrible against the pass. And then Jamison Williams, I'm going to take him to pop back up. He's had a down week or two, and then they had the bye week versus Dallas today. I think he has another breakout game there. I think he's the receiver for Detroit today that has the big game. Amon-Ra will get his, don't get me wrong, but I think Jamison Williams has a big game today versus Dallas.
Heck
I think
yeah.
they've had to focus so much on stopping those running backs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams is going to get left behind.
Yeah, I think all the receivers are going to have a good day.
Dallas defense has been horrible, and I think Parsons is out again.
Let me check the inactives list. I was just looking at it. Is that officially out yet? Because that's a later game, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, Parsons is out. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That means good things for that game for lots of high-scoring points. For me, I talked about him earlier, but Deontay Johnson. I think he's my wide receiver start of the week against Atlanta. They can't stop anybody. Andy Dalton loves throwing his way. They just are on the same page. He's looking like the wide receiver one that he was sold to be. I think he has a huge, huge day. I also love T. Higgins against the Giants. He's been waking up, looking really good. Obviously starting to realize that he's on a contract year and he's got to, play well. And he really has.
He's been a key to that Bengals offense waking up, getting him back. And I think it's also what's been key to Chase performing so well is Higgins getting out there. They can't just focus on Chase now.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have a great day. The Giants, as we know, defense not great. Ironically, their offense is keeping them in games these days. Yeah. So I like T. Higgins a lot today. Look for him to have over 100 yards and a score. And Darnell Mooney, I talked about him earlier. I love his matchup against Carolina. This Atlanta game is going to have a lot of points in it. Mooney just finds a way to get open. He's looking really fast. And most importantly, Kirk Cousins is looking his way a lot. I think he had like 13 targets or something last week.
Yeah, I think it was like 16 or something.
It's something crazy, and his numbers are going up every single week. I mean, those are wide receiver one numbers for the amount that they throw it. I mean, him and Drake London are like wide receiver 1 and 1A. So
yeah, Mooney's a great player. He's just, he was with Justin Fields, who was afraid to throw it. Kirk Cousins is not afraid to throw it. Kirk Cousins knows he's like, if he sees any daylight, he's going to throw it and let it go. And Mooney's the guy for that. I mean, Fields just couldn't give him the volume he needed.
Yeah, for sure. But those are our wide receiver picks. We'll get into our defensive starts here. I'll give you my defensive starts. I love the Eagles today against the Browns. The Browns are just a disaster right now. Anybody going against them should be a good defensive play. I think Deshaun Watson somehow is still playing for them. I don't know
man,
how.
They've got to put Jameis in. Please put Jameis in the game.
I don't understand how they can continue to play this guy week after week. I mean, are they watching the same film that we are? Because
I mean, look, you got to pay him whether he plays or not. Just do the best for the team at this point. Just put the better player in. You're going to have to pay the guy regardless. So you can't just keep putting everybody through this. He's horrible. He's the worst quarterback in the league.
And that's not a Stefanski thing. He's not putting him in. You know that he's being told.
Exactly. Yeah, he's being told you got to play him. He's getting paid $60 million or whatever. It's horrible, man. It's horrible. It's killing all the team. That's what I'm hoping next week we get Jameis and Nick Chubb back and everything changes for the Browns.
Yeah, because they could, if they get a run together, they can get back in things. So they're not done. They're not dead in the water yet. I mean, they're close, but anyway, start the Eagles against the Browns. I like the Buccaneers against the Saints with the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Bucs defense has been looking good as of late, so love that. And then the Falcons defense against the Panthers. I know it's going to be a high-scoring game. I envision there's some turnovers in that game, and I feel like the Falcons are a team you could pick up off waivers and get a solid performance. They got a pretty good pass rush, so that's who I have defensively. And Adam has the team that I had to trade away this week because of a great deal, but I like the Texans too.
We've got another touchdown, Bears. Keenan Allen again. Caleb with 4 touchdown passes, man.
Wow.
Wow. That's open the fourth quarter. That's the first play of the fourth quarter.
What's his passing yardage at right now? It's got to be.
He's at 28 fantasy points.
Wow.
It was only a 3-yard touchdown. It was a short pass, but he's only at 183 passing yards.
4 touchdowns. Wow.
Yeah, 20 for 25 though. 20 out of 25 for 183 and 56 rushing. 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
Extremely efficient.
We got ourselves a quarterback.
Yep, that's what we need. Efficiency right there.
Adam, why don't you talk through your defensive starts, buddy?
All right. The Texans versus the Patriots. Patriots are going to start Drake May today in his first game. So that's probably why you got that trade the other day, is Tooch wanted that Texans defense this week versus the rookie quarterback. So I love that matchup there. Drake May ought to turn it over a couple of times, I would think, in that game. I do think Drake May might be a good bet on, like, I don't know what his rushing yards are, but I think he could run for his life today and possibly be a good bet on the over of rushing yards for Drake May. And then Steelers at the Raiders. Steelers to me is to be the best play this week versus the Raiders. I think they're starting Aiden O'Connell, and Steelers defense has been great all year. TJ Watt should get multiple sacks, maybe force a strip sack, turnover, touchdown. And I took the Bears today versus Jacksonville. That's going so, I guess. They're doing all right. I totally forgot about those games being the London games when I picked a couple of Bears, Komet and the Bears. But Bears have just been solid every week. I think they're a play you can play. I mean, I'm just holding them on the teams I have them and play them every week. They're never going to get blown up, really. It's like a safe play.
No, for sure. Gotta love the Bears.
If they just stop the first drive of the games, it's like they give up the first drive, it seems like, and then they dial it all in.
Dial it all in, baby. And chat room, we're answering your questions here for a little bit more. We're going to get through the rest of our starts. Adam, you said we're in the fourth quarter now or still in the third?
It's in the fourth quarter now. Just should be kicking off after that touchdown. Like 14 minutes left.
Perfect. We'll work our way through our sleepers and sits here, and then hopefully we'll get some more questions, and we'll wrap things up, and we'll remind everybody, Barfly Tailgate Show coming up right after the conclusion of the Bears game in London. They're going to break it all down. Aaron Current, RMX, Chris Watts, John Santucci. I don't know who else is going to be there today, but I think that's the lineup. Make sure you tune in and check that out right after the Bears game. We, of course, are answering your fantasy questions. Fantasy Football Goon. I'm at Joe Mandel. That's at Papa Bear 816. Adam Sham. And John Santucci is getting ready for the post-game show. Has to watch the Bears game, of course, to do that. So he'll be back next week. All right, sleeper starts, Adam. Why don't you give us what you got for that?
I like Jalen Tolbert today in that game. We've talked about all the points being scored. He's pretty much the number 2 receiver right now for Dallas behind CeeDee Lamb. He's been getting a lot of targets and making big plays the last few weeks. He was a third-round draft pick, and he's finally starting to show those skills, and Dak seems to have confidence in him right now. So we mentioned Detroit's tough against the run, so they should pass a lot. I think Tolbert has a good game. He's been on waiver wires this week. I've seen him picked up a couple of times. And then I'll take Bucky Irving today at New Orleans with Rachaad White out. Bucky Irving's looked like the better runner all season, but Rachaad White's still the better pass catcher. But I think Bucky Irving should get a little uptick in work today with White out. New Orleans is a pretty good defense, but they're going to need to run the ball because we know how Mike Evans and Lattimore go in that game. And then big-time sleeper here, Jalen Polk, a rookie wide receiver for the Patriots versus Houston. I'm thinking he could be like him and Drake May maybe have a good connection as being rookies that have come in together. Maybe he's going to be Drake May's go-to guy. So if you're really desperate for a player, maybe if you're in a deep league or guillotine league or something, you got to have a flex player. Jalen Polk maybe could get some targets today with Drake May.
Oh, that's a great call. That is a great call. Definitely and especially in some deeper leagues, could definitely be a great play. Even in daily fantasy, I like that a lot too.
Yeah, usually those rookies, they've practiced together the most, so Drake May's first start, he may look to one of those guys that he's been working with a lot over the last few months.
Good call out, Adam. That's why people come and watch this show. I love it. Good calls there. For me, my sleepers. I love Justice Hill today against Washington. Listen, we know Derrick Henry's going to have a huge day, but if they're going to use the passing game a lot against Washington, and I think they're going to have to use Justice Hill because he's that back. He's their pass catching back. He's their elusive, quick guy. I'm looking for Justice Hill to have a real nice day in PPR leagues. Probably 5-6 catches, could be 80 plus yards and a touchdown. He might even break a long one off. I like Justice Hill a lot. I like him as a flex play in majority of leagues, but as a sleeper start, I mean, you could even start him as a running back in real deep leagues, like a guillotine league or something.
Bears interception.
Oh, nice. Bears just pouring it on in London.
They're starting to. Yeah, they just intercepted it, have it at the Jacksonville 36-yard line.
What's the score?
28-10.
All right.
And Cole Kmet with another catch for 26 yards. Holy cow.
Guy's just having a huge day.
Yeah, just the first play strike right. I mean, Cole Kmet immediately on the first play. Like, Caleb wants it all, man. He's going for 5 touchdowns today.
Maybe he is. Well, he is for sure.
He's having a good time, I think.
He's having a good old time in jolly old London town.
That's surprising. Nobody plays good when they do these games. I can't believe the Bears are actually offensively playing so well.
Maybe that was the plan, is to come out slow and then just hit him between the eyes.
I mean, they went early. They left on Monday and got up there immediately and said they were going to take a couple days to adjust and then start their practicing. So maybe that's actually worked.
Yeah. Getting back to my sleeper starts, I really like Calvin Ridley today against Indianapolis. This is a guy who's been looking so good the last couple weeks. Finally, I think he's getting back in full game shape now that he's going through the routine. He's getting on the same rapport where he needs to be. He looks like the Calvin Ridley of old, and Indianapolis can't stop anybody. I've seen Calvin Ridley dropped in so many leagues. I've seen him on the waiver wires in a lot of leagues. This is a guy you could pick up and start today as a quality wide receiver too, with a very high ceiling because Indianapolis can't stop anybody. So if you have a chance to get Calvin Ridley, you can certainly do that. And Maddie says Bears are balling. Let's go. Absolutely. Bear down, baby.
Yes, sir.
And my last sleeper starts, Pat Freiermuth against Vegas. I know a tight end, you're probably going to start him anyway, but I mean, there's some leagues where I've seen him drop. There's some leagues where I see him, sitting on the wire. Vegas can't stop anybody. Freiermuth is the safety blanket. And this is the kind of game against Vegas that Freiermuth just goes crazy. I think he could have a 2-touchdown day against Vegas today. Big red zone threat. So. Probably not a high amount of yardage. I think he's probably going to be between 60 and 75 yards. But 2 touchdowns easily could happen. I'm firing him up against Vegas because they can't stop red zone tight ends. All right. That's our sleeper starts. Adam, you want to talk through your sits?
Oh, touchdown, DJ Moore.
Everyone's getting in on it except for Rumadunze.
Oh, hang on. No, they're calling him down at the 1-yard line. Yeah, down at the 1-yard line. We'll see what happens. My sits, I got James Cook as one of them. We talked about him. A little worried about that toe on Monday night. And if it wasn't Monday night, I'd probably play him. But being that last-minute deal, you can't really wait or you'll be in trouble unless you've got one of their backups sitting on your bench. So. And then Rashid Shaheed, man, he's pretty much been New Orleans' #1 receiver for a few weeks. But with the rookie today, I'm not going to trust him getting those targets as much. I think the rookie will probably look more to Chris Olave. So I'm sitting Shaheed this week, though. I still like Shaheed a lot in the rest of the season. And then Dallas Goedert, I think he's been so good for like 3 weeks in a row, but that's been without A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith was out last week. Those guys are both going to be back. You got healthy Saquon. I think Dallas Goedert still a solid play, but probably takes a little bit of a backseat to what we've been getting the last few weeks. So just be a little hold your expectations there with Goddard this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a touchdown for the Bears, DeAndre Swift.
Wah, wah. I think I'm going against Swift. Oh, what are you
I've
going
been
to do?
going against him the last 2 weeks, and he's been tearing it up. Ever since I said he was horrible 3 weeks ago, he's been nonstop great.
And he took that personally, Adam.
Yeah, he did. He took that personally for sure.
I'm sitting Aaron Rodgers today against Buffalo with all the hubbub this week of firing of Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett and this and that. I think Buffalo is going to come out and try to make a statement. We talked about it earlier, Adam. I feel like they're going to try to run the ball a lot in this game with Breece Hall, show that they can use him the proper way, that it's not like, Breece Hall has been so good the past couple of years. Why can't we do it this year? So I think Aaron Rodgers is, going to be trying to gunsling it today and show that he's the man, and I think he might have a handful of turnovers. And secondly, I think they run the ball a lot. So I'm not starting Rodgers today if I don't have to.
I don't blame you, man. I heard a stat, too, that Aaron Rodgers has now been 28 games since he threw for 300 yards.
He easily could have a couple games this year, but his teams either had the dropsies or whatever. But, yeah, I hear you. The Browns, again, Amari Cooper, fantastic wide receiver in a bad situation. In Guillotine League, I have no choice. I have to start him because he's going to get the volume. But, man, it's a tough play against Philadelphia. Even though it's a good matchup, I can't trust the quarterback situation there anymore. Because usually you're firing up Amari Cooper against Philadelphia, and you're like, man, what a great matchup. But with the quarterback situation, he's getting balls thrown over his head. He's getting balls thrown at his feet. Amari Cooper's good, but he can't rescue terrible quarterback play. So
Right.
I'm sitting him if I have the choice. And then Mark Andrews is droppable at this point. He should not be started, even against Washington, a team that he should do well. I don't know what the deal is with Mark Andrews. I don't know what the deal is with the play calling for Baltimore. I know that King Henry came in and kind of changed the way they do offense, but Mark Andrews has become a non-factor.
Yeah, I played him last week on Guillotine. I kind of had to, and he had his best game, but it still wasn't great, and it didn't happen until the very end of the game, and I'd cut him this week.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You can't trust that. I mean,
Definitely not in Guillotine.
No, it'll get you chopped. So I'm not starting Andrews. I'm avoiding him like the plague. He should be dropped in all leagues, as far as I'm concerned.
When I cut him, I was surprised to find Njoku was sitting there on the waiver wire for free.
Yeah, it was probably me.
I've
had enough.
I added him. I was like, yeah, I'll cut Andrews.
I mean, I guess it's better than Andrews. Yeah.
I've got Goddard who I use every week, but I'll take Njoku as my backup, especially because I fully expect they've got to get Jameis Winston out there and start.
They got
like
it.
I think I heard you were talking about Amari Cooper. Like I'm pretty sure I heard the other day he's only got out of all those targets he's getting, there's only 45% of them are actually catchable passes.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But hopefully they figure it out there in Cleveland because it's brutal to watch. We got a question here from Kyle. Full PPR, Coleman, Shakir, or Dobbs? Well, I don't think Shakir's playing.
Yeah.
I think he's trending towards not playing. And that is that's Monday night too.
I'd probably have to play Coleman out of these. I don't like any of it.
I don't love any of it. I think I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of guys you could pick up off waivers at the wide receiver position. Kyle, can you tell us who's available on waivers? Because even a guy like Darius Slayton, if you can get him off waivers, I would start Slayton over all these guys today, wouldn't you, Adam?
Yeah, I think I probably would. Man,
I mean, I would probably
Coleman, man, that guy,
can't decide if he's good or not.
I'm not sold on that guy. He may end up being good. I know he's a rookie and he's really young, but did you see the pass last week that hit him straight in the helmet? It was like a dart on a bullseye, in the back of the head. He never had any clue he was the receiver on that play. And Josh Allen you couldn't have aimed it any more perfect. He never even turned around.
Nope. It's brutal. So yeah, if you can get Slayton, I think that would be a good choice. I would drop Dobbs out of those guys, but especially with all the stuff he's dealing with, suspension.
Packers, man, there's just so many receivers. They've got so many guys there, and Dobbs has been, he was suspended last week because he's on their shit list right now. They have too many guys. I just wouldn't feel comfortable playing him.
Yeah, I am aligned with you there. So you could try that, Kyle, and then see if it works out. It should work out for you. Adam, we got through our starts and sits. We'll give the chat room a couple minutes, see if they have anything additional to add before we get out of here. But what game are you looking forward to most today, Adam? Besides the one on right now.
I think I want to watch the Ravens and the Commanders, Jaden Daniels and Lamar. Part of me really thinks this is going to be the bad game for Jaden Daniels, that Baltimore's just kind of got that, that veteran leadership, and John Harbaugh is going to put the crack down on him and be like, all right, this guy can be stopped. Part of me makes me think that's going to happen. But then part of me is like, man, I don't know. He's very much like Lamar, where even if you do all that stuff, he's going to run around and get loose and try to make a play here and there. So I'm anxious to see how he does against such a veteran defense like Baltimore, even though they're not great right now. But
yeah, Jaden Daniels is looking like the future for sure. He's looking.
Yeah, I think it's a good matchup, him versus Roquan Smith, and they've got Roquan and Patrick Queen as linebackers there, and those guys are really good, and John Harbaugh's behind it all. And I think it's a good matchup to see how he performs.
Yeah.
Very interested now after Caleb's game today, too. I want to hear how he performs and what people have to say next week.
Yeah, because everyone all week has been talking about how, we should have took Daniels. We should have took Daniels.
It's already been for weeks Bears took the wrong guy again, right? It's no, can they not both be good? Can they both be good players?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we know the future is looking bright for both of those squads. So can we just be happy that the Commanders and the Bears are good at the same time?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Can both players just be great and we can celebrate both of them? It doesn't have to be a comparison all the time of who was better and who should have picked who. It's if they both make their team successful, what does it matter?
Yeah. Whole truth there, buddy. Well, man, we've got through it all. We had a handful of questions. We got the Barfly Tailgate Show coming up here at the end of the Bears game. Bears game's in the latter half of the fourth quarter. I think last I checked, they are at the 10-minute mark, 9-minute mark?
9-minute mark. Jacksonville 4th and 1.
Yeah, the Bears are just laying it on thick. It's going to be a fun Barfly Tailgate Show. Lots of good stuff to talk about. So make sure you tune in here. Give or take 20-ish minutes by the time this game ends. They'll be coming up live. But special morning edition of Fantasy Football Goon ahead of the end of the Bears game. Obviously, if you guys have more questions, hit us up on Twitter at FFBGoon, at Papa Bear 816, at Joe Mandel. We'll get your questions answered. John Santucci will be on the Tailgate Show, so if you have any more fantasy questions, you could pop them in the chat for that too. I'm sure he'll answer there. He'll be back next week. And Adam, it's been fun talking fantasy football with you early this morning, like the good old days. And while the Bears are playing good football too, it's actually feels like we've gone back in the time machine.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I'm a little interested. I've noticed I've not seen we talked about ETN got hurt, and I've not seen Bigsby's name really at all since then either. It's been all D'Ernest Johnson running the ball for Jacksonville.
Yeah, Tank's got 7 carries. Dearness Johnson's got 5, and
But
Etienne
Tank had
only has
most of
3.
those Tank had 3 or 4 in the first quarter. So I'm like, did he get hurt too, or what? Or did they just call it in, or what?
Very possible.
I don't know.
I
Interesting.
would assume. I mean, Tank is the big guy there, so I would be surprised if he's hurt. Then that's why they got Johnson out there. Johnson, by the way, not a bad running back as well. He did some good work in Cleveland for a couple of years. So they've got some solid running backs in Jacksonville. Unfortunately, the team itself is in a bit of a free fall, going to drop to 1-5 after today.
I mean, really, since about the first drive of the game, you really didn't see Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne, or Tank Bigsby's name come up much at all.
Well, the Bears defense is doing what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
Shutting everybody down. But Adam, do you have any shout outs you want to do before we get out of here?
Just glad to have you back this week. Like you said, doing it like we did the old days. Shout out to everybody that joined in. I know it was an odd time today, so thanks for them, the questions we did have, and I'm just excited about this Bears game today.
Yeah, Bears are going to go to 4-2. It's a great start to the year.
Yeah, and got the bye week to get everybody back healthy and get ready to see if they can keep this rolling.
Shifted into high gear. I love it, man. And I'll do a shout out to you. Appreciate you as always, man. Love talking fantasy football with you. Special shout out to the Tooch who's getting ready for the tailgate show post game here coming up. We'll have him back next week, and Steven Zimmerman in my place next week. So that's going to be fun. Aldo Gandia, appreciate you letting us do this every week and giving us this special time slot today.
Yes, sir.
And everybody in the chat that was so kind to give us your questions today. Hopefully we helped you out quite a bit. And we hope to have you back watching again next week for fantasy football. Oh, of course, I got to shout out my beautiful wife and my daughter. Love you guys and my dog. And hope to have you guys back next week. And good luck in all your matchups. Bears pulling off a killer. I mean, it's not over yet, but they had a big lead. They should have a big win today against Jacksonville. And lots of great football coming up the rest of the day. Good luck in all your matchups. And as always, God bless America. God bless football. And let's kick some ass. We'll see you guys next time. And for the Fantasy Football Goon, let's go win some games. See you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.